Hello everyone, it is me Sasha Kawaii Cat, and today I will be reviewing some free sketching apps for your iPad. If you're an artist and you use iPad, more than likely you're used to creating artwork on apps like Procreate, Clip Studio, or even Photoshop. While these apps are very good for creating really detailed and professional art, most tend to require you to purchase them or pay a monthly subscription. Apps like Photoshop, for instance, can be complicated or even overwhelming to use with all the tools and features. With all that in mind, I decided to take a look at some free, simpler apps suitable for artists who are looking for something that they can use to do some simple sketches, as well as something you can use if you just want to draw something really quickly or just sketch out some ideas. The first app we'll be taking a look at today is Taisui Sketches. Taisui Sketches has a free version and a pro version for £5.99, but today we'll be looking at the free version, of course. Firstly, I really like the layout of this app. You have all your brushes and tools to the left of the screen, while your layers and the feature to adjust the opacity and size of your brushes is to the right. Unlike a lot of apps where you have to tap somewhere to access all your brushes, in Taisui Sketches, all the brushes are accessible to the side, and you can switch between them quite quickly and easily, which is very convenient. You'll notice right away that they're able to have all their brushes easily to the side like that because there aren't a lot of brushes to begin with. That said, the ones that it does have are pretty good for doing sketches or some cute paintings. The tools that Taisui Sketches have are also pretty limited. You have your lasso tool and ruler to the side. However, the ruler tool is only available in the pro version, which I personally didn't really notice until after the fact, since I really didn't attempt to use it at all while I was drawing. Now let's talk about the layers. Unfortunately, the layers also have a paywall, which seems like such an odd choice because I realized right away that I could easily get more layers by simply duplicating them. Which, while it is a bit tedious to do, it's just a bit of an extra step. I can still get more layers. It's not inconvenient enough that I'm going to pay £6 just so I can easily add some more layers. And to be honest, this didn't really bother me too much, it just seemed like a weird choice. The layers also have the option to transform your drawing, which is great for me because I always need to adjust the size of my drawings. The transform tool is pretty good for that, but sadly in this app it wasn't really able to do much else. Thankfully, the layers also had some blending options. Really just the basic stuff to create your shadows and highlights, which was really neat because a lot of apps like this tend to not have those, but it was also kinda disappointing that it only had 2 options, but it does work for the simple sketching app that this is. For the artwork, I decided to do a cute drawing of Ruby and Sapphire from Steven Universe. They're one of my favorite couples and I really enjoyed doing fan art of them. Doing the sketch was pretty fun, though afterwards doing the line art for it wasn't that satisfying because I didn't really like the brush I chose, but really I don't know if I liked any of the brushes for doing line art. It's just not what I'm used to. There's also a shortcut similar to Procreate, where if you double tap the screen it would undo, but for whatever reason, this barely worked. Regardless, I did manage to do some clean line art, and I had fun coloring with the brushes, especially when I started working on the background. The drawing itself didn't really look like my regular art style, but I still really liked how it turned out. Overall, I really like Taisui Sketches. It's very easy to use, and it's not difficult to create some really nice art on this. The brushes it has can be fun to experiment with, and it has just enough tools and features that you don't feel too limited when you're drawing. The only real problem is the paywall for the layers, but as I mentioned, you can get more layers by duplicating them. It does what it needs to do, and personally, I strongly recommend it. Next, we'll be taking a look at Adobe Sketch. The layout of Adobe Sketch is quite similar to Taisui Sketches, with the brushes on one side and the layers on the other. At the top right, there's a ruler, which thankfully isn't behind an unnecessary paywall. I say this, but personally I never use the shape tools when sketching anyway, but I'm sure some of you will appreciate that. It's really simple in its layout, I'd say even more simple than Tayasui Sketches. But as I mentioned before, a simple minimalistic layout like this makes it very easy for you to quickly access and switch between brushes. Your tools and layers are also very easily accessible, so it really isn't a bad thing. As you can see, there aren't a lot of brushes to decide on Adobe Sketch, and the ones that it has I admittedly didn't like very much. Sketching with the pencil brush was fine, and I did a background that looked okay with the watercolor brush, but to be honest, the brushes just aren't that great. The layers on the other hand had quite a few blend-in modes, which was kinda surprising given how limited and simple everything else was. Thankfully, it also had the transform tool, which again, I always need to adjust the size of my drawing. But just like Taisui Sketches, it's a pretty simple transform tool and isn't really good for much else. But I did have the option to make as many layers as I wanted, which was nice. The drawing process for this was okay. The sketch I did turned out fine, but I did have some trouble working out the pose and the outfit for our pearls. Once I got to the inking, I really did not like the brush I was using, so I decided to try doing a lineless artwork, which isn't a style I'm particularly fond of. I also had a hard time with the color wheel. It's not as easily accessible as some of Adobe Sketch's other features, and that was a bit annoying. I did my best to make the drawing look decent, but I don't think it ended up looking as neat as the first one I did on Taisui Sketches. Overall, the drawing process wasn't very fun, but I tried my best. Overall, this app is way too simple for me, even for just sketching. I really do think having an app that has way too many features can be overwhelming and tedious if you just want to sketch out some ideas. But an app not having enough features can make the drawing process frustrating. Maybe if it had better brushes to make the drawing process a bit more enjoyable, I might feel more positively towards it, but for now, I can't say I recommend it. Next, we'll be taking a look at Linea Sketch. The layout of Linea Sketch also makes it very easy for you to access everything. The brushes and layers are on the right and your color palette is on the left. Personally, I like the look of the layout, but it's very minimalistic with only a few preset layers and your basic brushes. The brushes themselves are very disappointing. There really isn't anything to brag about here. It has a fill tool, which is nice. They also have a blending brush that was very bad. It really didn't do much blending or blurring. However, I was able to find one brush that I did genuinely like. The tools on Linea Sketch are pretty limited. You can cut and shape your drawing and adjust the size and all that, but that's about it. There are no obvious shape tools on Linea Sketch, but later I realized it has something similar to Procreate, where if you draw a circle and you hold it, it'll immediately smooth out into a perfect circle, or if you draw a triangle, it'll shape into a perfect triangle. I really like that they included that feature. There's also your palette on the left, which I wasn't too fond of. I had some trouble working out selecting colors and finding colors, but I was using a lot of similar shades of purple at one point, so I understand why I got a bit confused. The layers on this are really basic. You get 5 and you don't get any blending layers with them. No multiply or overlay options, just 5 basic, very restricted layers. However, drawing on this was actually okay and pretty fun for me when it came to sketching and doing my line art. But once I got past that point and was coloring, I got really frustrated, and I'm ashamed to admit I sort of gave up on this one. Doing the background wasn't very fun. I didn't even have a watercolor brush to do a simple little background with. The app itself really doesn't give you much to work with, and even just for sketching, it's way too restrictive. Right off the bat, I can say I don't recommend this. I really like that one brush, but that's about it. I don't even like how my drawing turned out, but I did my best. I might color this on something else though, because I still really like how the line art turned out, but this app fully needs some more work done to it before I could ever recommend it to anyone. I think all these apps are pretty okay for sketching, some better than others. I challenged myself to do a complete drawing on all of them, and really only Taisui Sketches worked best for that. I guess if you really like the look and feel of the app, you can always spend £6 for that full pro version. I think it might actually be worth it. Adobe Sketch was pretty limited, but I do think that it was okay overall. Linea Sketch had that one okay brush, but not much else. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to support me, please consider donating to my Ko-fi. The link is in the description. Goodbye, and I'll see you all in the next video.